Hello, 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 and welcome to LaserBeam Live. This is episode number 45, I believe. You know the deal. My name is Ikenna for CNC Labs, and whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, or night, I appreciate you spending just a little bit of your time with me. What are we doing today? Today we are engraving a cutting board. So I'll show you my waste board or what's in my machine right now. And we got a cutting board. I bought it off of Amazon. It's bamboo. One thing that I'm going to say is that make sure that if you are engraving your cutting board, just make sure that it's not finished already, because most of these cutting boards will probably get finished with some food safe oils or food safe kind of, wood finish that kind of seals it. But you want to make sure that you're not engraving it, or at least you know what you're engraving, so to make sure that you're not creating any toxic fumes. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So that is what we're doing today. We got Dana in the chat. Thank you for joining. We got Jim. Thanks for joining. Bill, thanks for joining. And Nicholas, thank you for joining. Yeah, I don't actually know what I'm going to be creating today, so maybe you guys can give me some pointers and some inspiration, and then we can find something together, design something together, and then get it engraved. I have these like 1/4 inch little scrap pieces that I have on top of my material, so that's how I'm focusing it. So I'm sitting this on top of my wasteboard, or sorry, I'm sitting this scrap piece of wood. It's a 1/4 inch or 6.3 something millimeters on top of my cutting board. And then I'm gonna be kind of focusing it to this. You can see I already did it, but I'll probably do it again just to show you. I'll be focusing it and probably running a quick little test project on this to make sure everything is good, everything looks good, and then I will just remove this and drop the height by 1/4 inch to make sure that I'm focused on my cutting board and to make sure that I'm not wasting my cutting board, right? So I'm not gonna engrave anything and it's gonna be out of focus, or it's not gonna look good or anything. I'm gonna run a small little test on this, make sure not only am I in focus, but run a little test to make sure that things are gonna come out the way I want them to. And I suggest that you guys do the same, especially when you're making something that might actually end up being the end product, or it's not scrap material. It's a more expensive, it's a material that you don't want to waste. I suggest using that technique. And all you need to do is buy a bunch of scrap material that is very cheap and you know the exact thickness of. Then you can just throw it on and do all the tests you need before actually going on to your real material. So I always suggest that you guys do that whenever you guys have a real material that's not cheap. Okay, so how are you guys doing in the chat? Everybody good? Dana, Jim, Bill, Nicholas, anybody else who's watching, how are you doing in the chat? Let me know. I'm gonna open up Lightburn so that we can start getting design. Let us create a bit of a boundary here. Zeus hears somebody in the hallway, so you know he has to go say hi in a very friendly way. Zeus, come on, spot. It's a little pitter patters. Let's choose the framing tool, so orange, because we know it's not going to actually be engraved or anything. We're just setting our template. And I don't know whether I want to go the height of the cutting board or the width of the cutting board. I am unsure. So right now I know that I can do about 30 millimeters across. No, sorry, 300 millimeters across. So I'm going to select, oh, sorry, let me show you guys the screen. So I'm going to select the rectangle. I'm going to select T1 for the framing tool to create like kind of my border. And I can go, the width is about 300 I have to play with. And of course I don't want to engrave the entire wasteboard, because then I'm just going to have to, yeah, I just don't want to do that. I just want to put it at the top or the sides. So I'm using the borders essentially. So that's where I want to put whatever I am going to be engraving. So I'm thinking maybe I can do the top here, like top here, and then I can flip it and do it the other way. So it's kind of like these two corners, and CNC Food Co. You know, I kind of like that. Let's make a like a little CNC um, food company because I'll probably end up just bringing this to the office or so that we can, you know, I'll probably end up leaving it at the office. So that'll be kind of cool. Let me see if I have. Let me see if I have the logo. I feel like I asked for the logo before. No, that was the alt mill logo. Give me 1 second, guys. Bear with me. I'm just gonna grab the logo from our drive. All right. Just finding the logo here. Bear with me. All right, I think this one, I'll go with this one. Okay. Got me the logo here. So I'll put it in the two corners actually. So that gives me two chances. So David, the LaserBeam will work with the alt mill. So you don't really need anything. We're keeping the same mounting holes that the long mill mount has. That'll also be on the alt mill, but you are limited on the speed because after about 5,000 millimeters per minute, you do start to get a little wonky. Your lines start to get a little bit wavy because the alt mill is actually putting too much force on your material, and because the alt mill is producing so much force, you do have to work hold your material with the laser. So one of the cool things about the long mill and laser is that you don't actually have to do much work holding. You'll see me, all the projects I've done over the past little bit actually did not require work holding, but with the alt mill, sometimes at certain speeds when you're producing certain forces, you're actually shaking the material is moving or the machine is moving so much that you actually do have to work hold. So yes, the LaserBeam will work on the alt mill. You just have to make sure that you're not going too fast because the alt mill can go very fast compared to the long mill. Even the SLB plus the long mill can go pretty fast. So you have to make sure that you're not going faster than about, 70, 75 millimeters per second or about 5,000 millimeters per minute. Yeah, so just keep that in mind. So I'm actually not going to use the framing because actually no, I will because I'm going to put the logo and then add some text. So what do I want here in terms of the size? Let's say if the whole thing is about 300, then I probably want to go with about 75. That's 1/4. No, that's a little bit big. Let's go with about 50. Let's say 50 millimeters if I see what this is. This is about, yeah, this is about 50 by 50. That's a good size. So let's go 50 by 50. And then we're going to get the logo in here. So we're going to import. And I just have it as a PNG somewhere here. And we're just going to scale this down to about, let's say 30. Let's lock the dimensions first so that it doesn't make it all weird. Let's get that. I'm going to do this corner. And then let's grab some text. I'm gonna put CNC. I'm gonna change this to black because we actually don't want this to frame. We want this to actually end up being engraved in our material. So how do I want to design this? So I could put CNC. I'm thinking maybe if I copy, paste this, and then rotate it. So let's find our rotation, rotate 90. Nope. Or actually I could flip it. Nope. So I'm gonna rotate it 180. Nope, that's not what I meant to do. Let's rotate it 180. There we go. And I'm gonna put food code on this end. So let's do CNC food code. And I'm gonna match the font types or the font heights. So, hey Dana, how you doing? So I'm gonna change this to 10. Let's change that to 10. There we go. And then we can change this to 10 as well. Hey Zeus, get out of there. I probably want it to be a little bit smaller. So let's go 8. And then let's go 8. And then let's see if that works. There we go. I kind of like that. Position, I'm just gonna move this down just a tiny bit. It's moving a little bit too much, so let's go 20. Yes, I think that's kind of good. I actually really like that. But now I can select my entire design here, and then I can make it a bit larger. So now my dimensions are locked here, so now I can just kind of increase it until we get around there, and I like that. So I'm gonna go position it at 0, 0. So it's nice and at the corner, and I'm gonna put my frame at 0, 0, even though it's not gonna engrave anything, it's just showing me it's the size that I chose for my entire design. Yeah, so I'm gonna do this. I actually kind of like this. This is pretty nice. So now for my settings. So first, okay. So first, I'm gonna test it on one of these. Zeus, leave my plants alone. Okay, no eating my plants. So I'm gonna test it on one of these. This is a DMC Keen, D McKean. I'm sorry if I'm, it's probably D McKean. It's probably like your first name starts with D, I'm gonna guess. But how you doing? So I'm gonna use this little 50 by 50 millimeter 1/4 inch scrap, and it's sitting on top of my my board right now. And I'm gonna use that to test this out. So I'm actually just gonna make this a little bit smaller because I don't want to go past the borders of my scrap and accidentally hit my my board here. Dave McKean, oh, how you doing, Dave? So I'm going to change this to like 30. Yeah, it has been quite a while. Just been a little busy. That's okay. We're always busy. So let's take a look at our settings. So for the image, I don't really need much. Dana last time gave us the tip that we usually want to go with a smaller DPI than usual. So usually we're at like, okay, so this one's still at 180. So that's what works best. That's what Dana said works best for him. So I'm going to also continue to use that. And then, because we did this last time, I can take a look at some of the things that we did last time. Remember these that we engraved in the last stream? And then I can just see what settings I really liked. So, so honestly, I like 75 power, maybe 40 speed, 40 millimeters per second. So 40 and 75. I'm going to use Jarvis and yep. And then for the text, we're going to do 40 and 75 again. I'm going to save the G code. I'm going to put Food Co. version 1 or yeah, version 1, version 0. Yeah, version 0 because it's just a test. And then I'm going to open this up in GSender. And we're going to open that up. And we're going to 0 everything. And I'll show you guys. So I want to essentially get this onto my scrap material, but not mark up my. So I'm just gonna move this to the corner here. Make sure I'm not gonna mark my thing, and then this will also make sure that I'm all good in terms of focusing and make sure that my actual project. Hey, Jack in the shop is here. Yeah, technically we didn't actually start 20 minutes ago. Technically we only started when Jack, our resident laser demon, showed up. So I'm gonna 0 it all. And I'm gonna go ahead and start this. Let's go. Let's see how good it looks. Zeus hears something at the door. Typical Zeus. And yeah, I feel like the settings look pretty good. Settings are looking good. Let's see how the text looks. I might even bump the power. But we'll see how it looks, and then I'll engrave it on the bamboo, and then we'll do it twice. So we'll do it this way, and then we might flip it. Okay, that actually looks really nice. Hopefully everything's good. You got a lot of firewood now. All right, so let's go take a look at our little test here. I'll let you guys see it better. So this is actually really nice. So because these are lines, I actually do feel like we might want to go a little bit. You can kind of see there's like some jagged edges in the design. So it's not perfect. So I actually do think I will. I actually do think I'm going to raise the lines per inch or the DPI, just because this is not an image. It's more like line work, or you can kind of see in the G code that like the more lines, the less jagged these the logo will actually look, right? So I actually do think I'm going to raise the DPI on this because this is just like, I want it to be a little bit smoother, and especially when I raise it, when it becomes larger, these lines will be a lot more noticeable. So I'm going to flip this and let it run again, but I'm going to change something here, okay? So let's go back to Lightburn. Let's go to our image and our fill, and let's actually go let's actually do like a 300 DPI. And let's go 100 millimeters per second. And let's go 35. 100 power, 35 millimeters per second. I'm going to change the same thing on this. So actually 300, 35, 100. Greg asks, does the moisture in the wood affect the settings that you use on the laser? And yes. You will notice that even moisture will affect how your material will absorb the heat and actually show the engraving. You'll notice that even with the moisture of the wood. Certain woods might even be more flammable than others based on the moisture. So you might have to run it faster or use less power, right? Yeah, it's all going to be, you're all going to be trying to dial things in just for that specific type of wood. You might even get a birch from one place and a birch from a different place, and because of the grain, the moisture, they will engrave differently, right? Oh yeah, threshold, yes, because it is just a black and white image, right? With a 300 DPI. Michael Levine, thank you very much. I almost forgot. Yeah, I was using Jarvis, which is like a dotting pattern, right? But that's more for like images. Because this picture is just black and white, you can use threshold, right? Which is exactly used for outlines or images dithered outside of Lightburn. So this is simple black and white, because that's all I need for this, right? In order to get a nice clean output, is the white needs to be untouched, the black needs to be 100% power. There's no difference. There's no dotting or anything. There's no gray scale. It's just that. And then because the quality of the image is obviously, I could get a higher quality image. I'm just being lazy, but I'm just increasing the DPI to the point where hopefully in a 50 by 50 millimeter by 50 millimeter square, you won't actually notice any of it. So yes, thank you for the reminder, Michael. Thank you for the tip. So we're all good here. Let's save this again. Food, volume 0.1. Yeah, and you can see that we got way more lines here, so we'll see what the output is. So I'm just gonna flip this around and throw it back in, and then we'll run our second test. Make sure this thing comes out the way we want. So I'm just gonna let's turn the laser on, and then let's get it in the corner. Pretty good. Laser off. The 0 all. And let's start the job again. Let's see how we're looking after all this. So it's much darker for sure, which I like. That's what I was going for. So if I want it to be perfect, I would actually also have bamboo. Chris Bridger asks, have you done any engraving with the laser using the Vortex rotary? Yes, I did. You can, it was about when the Vortex launched. So you can go back into on our YouTube channel, you can go to our live tab, and you can go back to one of the old LaserBeam lives just about a year ago when the Vortex launched, and actually have a video of me engraving like a baseball bat handle using the Vortex, and engraving some other stuff using the Vortex. So you can check that one out. And yeah, I haven't done it in a while, I'm going to be honest, but definitely can. It's not that difficult. It's just setting up a few settings in G-Sender or in Lightburn. And I kind of went through the process in that. So check that one out. Yeah, I like this a lot more. Definitely looks nicer. This is actually, I think, what I'm going to go ahead and engrave. So Dave says he's been burning up sheets of Baltic birch, 5 foot by 5 foot, or 5 foot by 5 foot. Wife's been working hard, little shop business. That's very cool. Guys, we're gonna be working on I'm working on the LaserBeam. Of course, our focus right now as a company is getting the alt mill out to you guys, to any of you guys who ordered. But as soon as that's done, we're gonna have a lot more engineering firepower to kind of start pushing on the LaserBeam, the CO2 laser project. Because yeah, it is more business pointed, just like the alt mill is, just like the long mill is. Although we wanted to give you an add-on with the laser, but what you're going to be able to accomplish with the LaserBeam, if that's what you like, if your business or your projects are primarily laser focused and you want to give that a bump and upgrade, then the dedicated CO2 laser is going to be for you. And if not, the LaserBeam will work with the alt mill. The LaserBeam still works with the long mill, and we're still supporting that. So yeah, we just kind of will have options for you guys. So that's super exciting. But that's great to hear, Dave. I'm glad that you guys are getting use, and you and your wife are able to keep using the long mill and keep making cool projects. 1/8 inch thick, and I can't wait to see your CO2. Oh, thank you so much. We're very excited there. All right, let's take a look at this. All right. Yeah, this is exactly what I was looking for. I like this. This is the good stuff, okay? There we go. That's what I'm looking for. I like it. It's dark. I might raise the speed back up to 40 because you can see kind of this charring that I might be able to get rid of if I raise the speed back up. So Jack asks, are you adding a port in the CO2 for the rotary? Yes, I believe so. I'm not 100% sure. The Ryuda will be able to take a U-axis, which is essentially what you would use the rotary for. So it'll always be available. And we will probably source a generic rotary axis for the laser. So it won't use the Vortex because I think we're gonna have better luck using a CO2 laser specific rotary, or we'd have to figure out some attachments to make it that. Hey Dave, I'm glad I could help, for sure. Okay, so I like these settings. I'm gonna do just one quick thing, which is I'm gonna go back to 40 millimeters per second, just because although I got the darkness by lowering or raising the power and lowering the speed, I got a little bit of the charring, that little overhang. And of course I could use the, I could sand, I could finish, but I think just upping the speed will get rid of some of that. Might not cure it all, but I think it'll help for sure. So we're gonna go with 40 millimeters. We're gonna leave it at 100% power. And then we're gonna worry about our starting position. So we're gonna do user origin, and then we're clicking on the top. So in this bottom corner over here, when it says start from, I'm clicking user origin because I wanna be able to tell it where to start. And I want my job origin to be the top left of my job because I'm engraving it on the top left of my waste material, and I want to be able to point it at the corner and then have it go this way. And then for the other side, I'm going to point at the bottom right because I want to be able to start my laser at the bottom here and then have it go the opposite way. Hopefully that'll make sense once I actually do it. So first things first, I'm going to raise the size back to my original size, which is 50 millimeters by 50 millimeters. Then I'm going to save that. And it's going to be Food Co. version 1. Then I'm going to make sure the origin point aligns with the change that we just made. Yeah, no, it did not. So put us at this weird position. I don't know why. So maybe we could put current position, but leave the job origin at the top here. Maybe that will fix it. I'm going to override the file that we just saved. And then let's pop that open one more time. So it did something, it just didn't do what we wanted it to do. I don't know where it's getting this 50 millimeter gap here. Let's see. If this doesn't work, then I will just use G-Sender to space things out. I'll use my normal starting point, and I'll use G-Sender to figure things out in terms of a starting position. Yeah, I don't know why this is being a little bit weird. Okay. Let's go. Let's do how we normally do it. I don't know why this is like, this starting position is so weird. I'm sure there's something in my settings that's causing it. I just don't want to find it right now. Okay, so it's starting at this bottom, so I'm going to move my laser head. I'll show you guys what I'm doing here. I'm going to move my laser head to where I want my project to start, which is kind of like the top left corner of my material. And then I'm going to place this so that I can turn it on and know where my material is. Oh yeah, oh fuck, oh sorry. But it might be because I wasn't changing my job origin. Here. Or my machine origin here, but I don't know. I was changing my job origin and I tried different start froms and it was still just doing this weird, like there's weird offsets, okay, that I didn't input but might exist somewhere in the settings. I'll have to like explore that at a later date. Just for time's sake, I'll deal with that later. So I'm gonna put this at the corner just so I can make sure I'm starting where I want to start. Yeah, so now I'm going to turn on my laser because I believe I'm probably sitting right, like, I'm gonna make sure I'm sitting above my waste material. So I'm now marking my, there we go. And then I'm just gonna move it to the top corner of that waste material. And that looks pretty good in terms of a starting position. So I'm gonna turn that off. Then I'm gonna move it down 50 millimeters, which is the size of the design, so that my starting point is actually where I want it to be. So technically it's a little bit less than 50, it's probably like 45. So I could probably move it down like 45. So I'm gonna move it down here. There we go. And then I'm going to move my Z down because I'm removing my waste material, or my scrap material, which is 6.35. So I'm gonna move it by 6.35 down, and now I'm gonna be focused on my actual cutting board without having to mark it up. So now I'm moving my Z down by 6.3, and then I'm zeroing it all. So that kind of puts me exactly where I need it to be, exactly where I want it to be. And then now we are going to start the job. So let's get this thing moving. You guys can see it. We are engraving this cutting board. It's looking cool. It's looking nice. And that's why if you guys buy a cutting board and you have the there's like a finish on it, you guys want to sand it anyways, because after you're done engraving, you can sand your job to make it look cleaner and then just finish the whole cutting board again, right? So either get unfinished cutting boards so that you only have to, you can engrave and then finish later, or just sand it before you engrave and then refinish it after, so that you can actually sand your engraving and it'll look better in the end. I'm not gonna do that because I'm lazy, but that's my recommendation to you guys. So we're gonna do this twice, so that corner, and then we're gonna go to the opposite corner and do it again. Yeah, and you just want to make sure that you're not engraving anything, any type of finish that's gonna be harmful. Of course, they do make it like food safe, but you never know, are they making it laser safe? I'm just gonna open up a window because I can smell the wood engraving. Should be about a 5-minute job. Yes, actually, I can't believe it. Yes, guys, the SLB actually does give you a little bit more power on your laser beam. So Dana's actually realized that is like the SLB actually puts out a stronger, more uniform 5-volt PWM. So we actually tested the signal that came out of the longboard with an oscilloscope, and then we compared that to the signal that came out of the super longboard with the oscilloscope, and you actually just get a more consistent, stronger 5 volts. So on the on the longboard, you might be actually getting like 4.6. And most cases, that doesn't actually matter. It's still capable. Your driver is still capable of interpreting that and giving you 7 watts or above. But with your super longboard, it's just a more solid signal. You're getting a more standard 5 volt. Of course, there's still variation, but you're just getting a stronger, more solid signal for your laser out of your SLB. And we dialed in the firmware in order to actually, we dialed it in order so that like, yeah, we essentially tuned the signal that comes out of your SLB to be more specific to the LaserBeam driver. Like that's what me and Chris and the creators of the SL and the other engineers that worked on the SLB were actually doing for quite a bit. Is that I would test it, I would use the oscilloscope to know exactly what signal was actually coming out of the SLB, and then I would give that to them and be like, okay, this is what I would want to see, or this is what changes we need to make. And then until we our side-by-side testing, actually the SLB actually outperformed the longboard in every way in terms of power. So usually I had to actually dim down the power to like 80% because you were just getting a stronger signal, and a stronger signal with the laser driver means it's outputting stronger laser power in terms of modulation and in terms of just like consistency. So you actually will see, most people will see better output with their SLB. That's really cool that you noticed that. Yeah, so we actually have a little bit more charring than I would have liked. So once it finishes the logo, I'm actually just going to raise the speed. So I just put it at 150 so that we can, hopefully it's not going to char as much. So I'd probably end up just sanding it anyways, just to get a cleaner output. Do you know the amp requirements for the SLB? Not off the top of my head, but it might be on the page, the product page, I would imagine, maybe. I'm pretty sure you can use the regular power supply, because that's what I use. Oh, hopefully I don't set off my alarm, because this thing is making a lot of smoke. Hoping I don't set off my fire alarm. It uses the same standard power supply, I'm pretty sure. At least on mine, I think I just have my regular power supply plugged into my SLB instead of my regular longboard. But you can check out the specs on the website, and if not, just send in a ticket, because I don't know off the top of my head. All right, so we're done our first one. And it looks good. I think the power is just a little bit too high. So for this next one, Chris, for the SLB, you are capable, you get additional speed. You get additional speed of about 1,000 to 1,500 millimeters per minute. So the long mill tapped out about 4,000. The super longboard hits about 5,000 to 5,500 millimeters per minute. But be aware when you're using the laser, because the laser, you need to run under 5,000 because you will run into issues, and you might not run into issues for certain projects, but you will, just because you'll start to see some inconsistencies in your engraving. So it's always a little bit better to run it under 5,000. So, but yes, there are some increases in speed. So I'm going to do the same thing I did. So I'm going to put this at the corner. I'm going to first just make sure I'm going to lower this to 2. I'm going to make sure I'm for sure above my waste material so I don't mark my, I'm going to turn the laser on, and then now I'm going to move it to that corner. Move it to that corner. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to change this to 45. Then I'm going to move it this way. And that should be just about, if I zero it all there, then yep, that should be all good. Should be all good there. Yes, so the SLB can plug directly into your old longboard and run better. So higher speeds, better laser output, all that fun stuff. You're more reliable. You can connect via a network cable, which is automatically more reliable for all computers, and especially MacBooks. If you have a MacBook, connecting via network wire, like internet protocol wire, versus USB, you're definitely going to have less dropouts and more reliability. The super longboard itself is just more reliable, can send better signals to everything. Yeah, it's just a better overall. If you watch Chris's last SLB, he actually does the side-by-side. Yep, still utilizing the original motors because everything is tuned a little bit better for everything. So yeah, if you watch the most recent SLB video that Chris put out, he actually does a side-by-side video of showing you the faster speeds and like the benefits. So, all right. So what I did not like about this last one is that it was a little bit too much power. So I'm going to run it faster. So 150. I'm going to override 150%. So is there a need for our old longboards? Realistically, no. No. There really isn't a need for your old longboards. You could use it as a backup just in case the rare occasion that something happens to your SLB. At least you won't be left without something that can run. But yeah, it's an overall better board. But guys, just because this is new, right? So it's built off Gerbil HAL. So let's just be honest. Whenever we have a new Gerbil has been used in the open source community has been used by so many companies, by so many customers of CNC technology, that it is pretty much a robust firmware. Gerbil is like one of the most robust CNC firmwares in the world, right? Because of how many people use it and alter it and make it better and add changes and all that fun stuff. But just a reminder that Gerbil HAL, although it was made to have so much more improvements and add so much more functionality, it is still new. It's still a newer firmware, and still probably you might run into some bugs just based off Gerbil HAL being so new, and it'll hopefully get to the point of Gerbil where so many other companies use it and it's so reliable, and plus you have all the new functionality. So guys, there's a balance of, yes, the hardware itself is more reliable than the longboard could ever be and could output better performance than the longboard could ever output, but Gerbil HAL has so much more functionality, but it's newer, right? So there might be a very rare case where you might run into an issue that's Gerbil HAL specific that you just wouldn't run into with Gerbil. But that's tis 'tis the trade-off of new technologies, right? So just keep that in mind. We want to be very honest, and yeah, we never want to oversell. This is an amazing board. It's way more reliable, but the firmware that is built on Gerbo open source, is just a little newer. So although it has so much more functionality, Gerbo and the hardware is way more reliable than our old longboard. Gerbo, you know, maybe in like 3 years, 2 years, 1 year of the open source community, other CNC companies using it, everybody will flush out all the issues and make it just as reliable as regular Gerbo. But also that took time. So keep that in mind when you're comparing and contrasting. So yeah, so I think we're ready to go here. So I'm going to pause this, and I'm going to pause, and I'm going to override this to 150 power, and then I'm going to turn down laser power to like 80%, and then let's see how this comes out. All right. See, yeah, I like the way this looks a lot better, to be honest. It's a lot cleaner, less charring. So yeah. So to do it all over again, I would have, whatever, 1500, 150% of the speed that I chose. So 40, 150, so about 60 millimeters per second, and 80% power, I think was the better option. So this one's definitely cleaner, less charring. So I'll probably end up sanding it and then refinishing the cutting board with some food safe finish. Maybe I'll sand the entire board down, do some other engravings, and then refinish it all. But yeah, still both look very nice, and it's pretty, for a quick little simple job, simple project. I think these ones are only like 5 minutes, 10 minutes long. Philip Price says, when I switch from spindle in G-Sender, it doesn't put the offset. Put the offset so that I can just hit go to 0 like I did the longboard. What am I missing? I put the offset in the setup. Philip, I would say send in a ticket. We can do some research. I'm gonna need to like test it out on my end and then see what's happening and see if that's just your setup thing or if it's universal, and see what's happening. So Jim says, Hal has been giving me hell. I went back to Gerbil for the time being, needs more documentation for firmware settings. And to be honest, he's correct, right? Like, guys, I don't want you guys to get it twisted. This is new technology that we're playing with. The SLB is new tech. Well, Gerbo How is new technology. The SLB, the new board, is just fundamentally better. Like if you run the new board just with Gerbil, you're gonna have a better experience, right? But a lot of the new features that they wanted to implement, you need Gerbo How to do it. But Gerbo How is a newer firmware. It's built off Gerbil. That's why it's called Gerbo How. But it needs more time to get fleshed out. Obviously, we're going to continue to make more resources. Gerbo How is going to continue to get improved. Chris works with the creator of Gerbo How, or one of the main contributors of Gerbo How specifically. But yeah, and we can upgrade firmware on our end so that we can interact with Gerbo How a little bit better. So that's definitely, improvements are coming as we find out more bugs and more things that are causing issues for you guys. There's improvements that we can make on our end that actually will make the firmware operate with Gerbo How a little bit better. Chris asks, where did you get your laser safety glass for your enclosure? We got it from our acrylic manufacturer. So the supplier that supplies us with our acrylic, we got it from them, but I had to make sure to test to make sure that it was blocking the same amount of light. So it's only OD, so it's OD3 plus. Your glasses are like OD7 plus. So yeah, so I had to test it. I had to fire the laser through it to make sure that it was blocking the same wavelengths at the same amount that it should, because I wouldn't just grab the orange acrylic, transparent orange acrylic, and assume that it's going to do the exact same thing that I needed to do and block the amount of light that I need to block. So I actually had to use our laser power meter and test it. So I had to fire our laser through the acrylic from our acrylic supplier, and it has to be a specific color and transparency. And so I can't, so, you know, amber orange acrylic from our acrylic supplier. But the only way I felt safe using it in our product and in my enclosure was I had to test it with a laser power meter. So laser power meter on one end, firing the laser through the acrylic, and then seeing how much power actually gets to the outside of the acrylic, how much the power the acrylic blocks. So that was the only true way. And our laser power meter is like a $1,500 machine. So, you know, I can't just recommend and be like, oh yeah, go to this. Like, yeah, we got amber from Piedmont Plastic. So this is a transparent amber from Piedmont Plastic. It's it's 1/8 inch thick. But, you know, without you running the test, you can't guarantee that the acrylic is blocking the same amount that it should, and it doesn't block as much as your glasses. So yeah, so it's a bit of a tricky. I can't really recommend it for you guys unless you guys are going to do the testing. But even then, you guys have to test and make sure. All right. Let's take a look here. One second. So glasses okay, but usually lose them just as fast as putting them on. Yeah, I'm sorry, Dave. It is annoying, but I'm just trying to make sure that you guys aren't, you know, losing your eyesight, because you might not even notice at first. It's gonna be like, it might be months, it might be years, it might be weeks. So I'm just making sure that you guys, I don't condone any like risky behavior. I wish I could just be like, oh yeah, buy this acrylic, but it's a little bit more difficult than that. Even if somebody told me like this acrylic blocks this light, I wouldn't trust it unless I tested it. So like our glasses, we got the test report from them done by like TUV SUD. It's an international company. It's a very large company, but I still tested the laser with the laser power meter and fired it through to make sure it was actually protecting from that light. Same thing with this acrylic. This is the type of acrylic that goes on your air assist, but I just had to test, so it's a bit tough. Nicholas asked, so if the super long board switch to Gerbil only, not Gerbil HAL, G-Sender will adapt and not show the Gerbil HAL features? No, it will show the Gerbil HAL features. I don't know if it would actually use the Gerbil HAL features, but it will show the Gerbil HAL features. I think it'll only highlight the regular features, and it will like unhighlight, like it'll like highlight, I think it highlights it like orange or something, if the feature's not relevant to Gerbil. So you'll still see the features, it just will be like highlighted yellow or something to show you that it's not actual. Yes. So guys, the Clack Shack says, JTech Photonics sells tested acrylic on their website. I use it in my enclosure. So he is right. It is expensive. It's a lot more expensive than, you know, the acrylic that I bought, that I tested, but that's what you're paying them for, right? You're paying them for the fact that they did the testing for you and you can know for sure. So that's an option. If enough of you guys ask, I can do the testing, I can formalize the testing, and we can offer and sell this on our website if you guys are interested in some laser safe acrylic. So let me know, guys. If you guys are interested, if you guys want to build your own like laser enclosures and you want like tested laser safe acrylic, I can do that. So thank you, Clack Shack. But if you guys are short for time and you guys don't mind spending a little bit more money, JTech is a reputable laser manufacturer, laser diode manufacturer in the industry. They do great work. They make great products. And if you guys need tested acrylic to make your enclosures, go check out JTech because they're a cool company. And yeah, just because, you know, we're very open source here. So just because we sell a laser doesn't mean we're going to, you know, lie to you about other companies. We love JTech. Like, JTech is cool. I know a lot of our customers use JTech. I know for you, some of you guys, when 7 watts isn't enough and you guys don't need a CO2 laser, you guys just want like a 20 watt, you know, diode laser. A lot of you guys do go to JTech. And when we were doing testing, we used their drivers as our baseline because they were kind of known as such a reputable and solid company. So guys, if you guys need tested laser safe acrylic right now, I know JTech sells some. I know there's other companies that do sell some. And I know they're a little bit expensive, but it's worth it knowing that you won't damage your eyes. Your eyes, it's just not worth it. So, okay, so let's take a look at the results here. Let's see, Dave. New rig you're building, aka CO2, it still require glasses. Is that acrylic you're talking about? Do the trick if you build full enclosure. So the CO2 laser actually uses a different wavelength, so it's actually there's a whole different world where you just need like polycarbonate or like a thick enough acrylic, so it can be clear acrylic to block the CO2 wavelength. And then as long as that's thick enough, you don't actually need glasses, but sometimes, you know, technically you should wear glasses, but it's the same thing. As long as it's like clear polycarbonate of a certain thickness or clear acrylic of a certain thickness, you should be good, because usually the laser won't even run unless your enclosure is closed, and then the actual the material on the enclosure on a CO2 laser, it will block the wavelength. So it's a different beast. So it's not orange, or it's a whole different world because of the wavelength is different. It's a whole different world of how you protect from it. So let's take a look. Dana says Dana's actually working on a JTech currently video for the long mill. Yes, he is. So he got reached out by JTech, and he actually asked us, because he's such a real Dana, you're such a real guy. He asked us to make sure that we were comfortable with him, you know, taking on some stuff from JTech and doing some projects and doing some videos with the JTech and the long mill. And we told him absolutely, because we're very open here. If you like JTech stuff, if they're selling something that we cannot provide, like a 20 watt diode, a 3-4 diode laser, yeah, buy it from them. They're a great company. They're solid. They're a little bit expensive, but that's kind of why we made our laser, right? We saw that 7 watts was out there, and we saw that a lot of our customers were using them, and we just thought we could do it cheaper because it's not our main business, whereas JTech's main business is selling laser add-ons. So they kind of have to make it more expensive to pay for all the engineering that they do and all that stuff. But we could actually make it cheaper because the long mill takes the brunt of the cost of a lot of our engineering and costs like that. So if JTech's offering something that you guys want, go check them out. Dana's going to be making a video on it. Let's take a look. So as you can see, we got the 2 logos here and here, and they look really nice. I like them. I like it. Let's get a look. How close can we get? There we go. I like it. Looks nice. Nice and simple. It's not overpowering. Now I'm probably going to end up sanding it just because it charred. So I'll probably end up sanding it and then refinishing it with some like food safe finish, some oils or whatever. But not bad for our first try. Bamboo. Pretty cool. CNC Food Co. All right, I'm going to end the live there. Thank you very much for joining me. You know the deal. My name is Ikenna Ofoha for CNC Labs. And whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, or night, I appreciate you spending just a little bit of time with me. You guys take care. Have a good night. Dana, thanks for joining us. The Clack Shack, thanks for joining us. Resident Laser Demon Jack in the Shop, thanks for joining us. Dave McKean, thank you so much for joining us. Nicholas, thank you for joining us. Jim, thank you for joining us. Chris Bridger, thank you so much for joining us. Philip, thanks for joining us, asking a question in the chat. Am I forgetting anybody else? If you're watching and you didn't have time to send something in the chat, thanks for joining us. Michael Levine, thanks for joining us. Greg, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. David E., thank you for joining us. Bill S., thank you for joining us. And anybody else who's watching, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you. I appreciate you. And in 2 weeks, I will catch you on LaserBeam Live number 46. Send us in a ticket if you need us for anything, customer support, questions, answers, orders, support, anything you need. Send in a ticket on our website. Give us a call, and we'll figure it out. We're working on a CO2 laser right now. We are ready. We're going to be ready to ship the first batch of alt mills in the next little bit. So definitely tune in to what the company has going on because we're doing some cool stuff this year. Take care. Take care. Like the video, like the stream before. I'm going to give you guys 10 seconds to like the stream. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Please like the stream. Thank you so much.